Hey VC, this is Luke with Hot Wax and Cool Vinyl. Welcome back. Unless this is the first time that you're seeing my channel, then welcome. Today I wanted to do a little bit, something a little bit different. And I wanted to do, I got the idea actually from watching a few of the other channels I follow. William Now, Bill Vinylverse, the Omaha Introvert, a few others, and it's what I'm going to call it is the record of the week. And the way I can describe it, the easiest way to describe it is I want to highlight a record from my collection that is obscure, not very common, but something I think is really cool and something I think is worthy of sharing with the vinyl community. And I do so because that, in my mind, is kind of why I joined the vinyl community. Not for me to share with you, that's a byproduct of having joined the vinyl community, but rather of getting ideas of new artists or artists that I had not heard of or was not familiar with from other record collectors. So that's what I wanted to do. And I also maybe take the time to show some cool stuff. So I'm going to call this the record of the week, and I'm going to try to do it weekly. I know that there's quite a few members who do like a record of the day. That's a little bit too much for me to take on. I think record of the week is probably a little bit more palatable and more manageable for me. And so I'd like to start. And the first thing I want to show you isn't actually a record, but it's something I picked up from my local butcher. He had, his mom had passed away about 8 months ago, and then over the summer, he and his sister had finally gotten around to doing an estate sale for her, and he called me and he said, you know, hey Luke, my mom had some records and some stereo equipment, and I went and took a look, and it really wasn't anything of my genre that I particularly cared for. His folks were into a lot of classic rock, and I'm sorry, not classic rock, I apologize. His folks were into country, and what classic rock there was had already been picked, so there really wasn't much left there for me. But I was able to find a couple of records here and there, just of interesting stuff. And he's like, so what do you want me? What should I do with the rest of these albums? And I said, you know what? You got your phone, take some pictures, put them on Craigslist. You know, it's a pretty sizable collection. He had, I don't know, maybe 300 albums in total. So I said, put it on Craigslist and just, you know, offer it up to the highest price, you know, make me an offer. And he did, and I guess he sold them within a couple of hours. He had the whole rid of everything. So he called me up and he said, you know, he thanked me for that. I was like, guy, I really didn't do anything. But, you know, it made him happy, so it made me happy. So I went this past 3 days ago, to get my meats for the week, the groceries for the week. And he goes, hey Luke, I got something for you. And he comes in and he runs out and he brings me this magazine. I've since framed it, but it's a 1928 copy of Harth Magazine, and the back page was why he gave it to me. And I'll bring it up to you, and it is a record of the month club from 1928, and it's really pretty cool. It's 20 selections, any 10 records, $1.98. It says send no money, you get 10-day trial in your own home. It's less than 20 cents a record, and this is really cool. It says famous old favorites, and the famous old favorites, as you can see here, I'll let you read them. So, and then you have, you know, of course it was the wreck of the old 97. But here's some really cool stuff. It's popular and standard songs, to which includes My Blue Heaven and Back of Every Cloud. let's see what else. It has New River Train and Show Me My Mammy. It says like, tear out the coupon on mail today. Is right here, down here. I just found this absolutely fascinating, and it was just a really nice. It was very nice of him to think of me when he found this. So I'm gonna probably, you know, I kind of framed it rushing, so I have a little bit up here that I have to correct. But I'll be hanging it in the room here at some point in the next week or so, which is really cool. Again, 1928 Record Club. It's actually the oldest I've seen of Record Club advertisements. I didn't realize that he even had them in the late 20s. If you guys know of anything older, please let me know. It'd be cool. On to the aforementioned record of the week. What I want to bring out and show is it's a fusion record, 1976, by a band called Stuff. Self-titled album. Again, fusion album, song tracks. Side one is Foots, My Sweetness, Do You Want Some Juice, Looking for the Juice, and Reflections of Divine Love. That one actually happens to be my favorite. On side two, it's How Long Will It Last, Sun Song, Happy Farms, and Dixie Up on the Roof. The musicians are Cornell Dupree on guitar, Gordon Edwards is on bass and percussions, Stephen Gadd's on drums, Eric Gale on guitar, Chris Parker on drums, and Richard T on the piano. Research on these guys comes back as most of them were studio musicians, but they got together and they played in assorted bands as well. Mostly West Coast New York musicians that just kind of meshed together really well to form this. And again, this is a jazz fusion album from '76. You have a little bit of that funk sound and a little bit of that disco era as well. Now, I am not a disco guy, so it's not a heavily influenced disco fusion album by any stretch of the imagination. Quite honestly, if it were, I wouldn't be talking about it. It's just not something I like. Now, if you're not a fusion collector or you're not really into fusion, it's still worth listening to or worth giving an ear to, because it's just a really relaxing, comfortable listen. Again, I always refer to these as my Sunday morning listens. On Sunday mornings, like everybody else, I mean, I'm having my coffee, I'm reading my paper, I really just want to have a Sunday morning. And so probably not going to throw on some Zeppelin or anything of that nature. Most likely it's either going to be some folk or country, not country, folk or classical, outside most, some jazz, but fusion also flies into that. Sometimes Manhattan Transfer, but a lot of times it's bands like Stuff. Again, just kind of like really an easy listen. You don't have to focus really hard to try to pick out the nuances as you would, let's say, in free jazz or things of that nature. You just kind of put it on, sit back, enjoy the sound, enjoy the music. And it's kind of universal in that aspect. It's enjoyable whether you're into fusion, whether you're into folk, whether you're into disco, funk, even if you're a classic rock guy, because it's got enough of the semblances and the rock licks included into it that you kind of just can pick it out and just like listen to it and relax. So again, the band is called Stuff. It is a self-titled album from 1976. Jazz, fusion, some funk. Discogs, medium price is like $6. You could probably pick it up on eBay for under $10 with shipping. I would probably give it a listen on YouTube, and tell me what you like. Please leave me a comment. Let me know what you think of. Let me know what you think of the idea of the actual record of the week. Maybe you'd like to try it. I mean, it would be awesome. to get a group together and do like the record of the week thing. Be a great way to learn about artists that I don't already know. Great way for us to share artists and obscure stuff in our collections that might be cool enough to put in other people's collections. So please leave me a comment. Let me know if you like the channel, if you like this particular video or others that I've done, and you want to subscribe. I'd love to have you as a subscriber. I will respond in kind, of course. If not, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. Have a great weekend. Today's Thursday, the 8th of November, so the weekend is just around the corner. Hopefully we'll have a nice, relaxing, great weather, and we'll be able to get out and have some nice fall activities for everyone involved. Have a great night, everyone. Cheers.